He was just reading a book until the plane turned toward a forbidden zone. Marcus Chen thought it was going to be another ordinary flight home. He settled into his seat with a novel he had been wanting to finish for weeks. But when the plane suddenly changed direction without announcement, and the cabin crew started whispering in urgent tones, he realized something was terribly wrong. What happened next would shake his understanding of freedom, borders, and the invisible lines that divide our world. Before we dive in, what time are you listening? Where are you from? Drop a comment below and tell me. And please like and subscribe for more videos like this. Marcus boards Flight 447 from Istanbul to New York on a Tuesday morning. The sky is clear. The sun streams through the small window beside his seat. He has flown this route many times before. He knows the routine. He knows the timing. He knows when the flight attendants will come around with drinks. He knows when the captain will announce their cruising altitude. Everything feels familiar. Everything feels safe. He opens his book. It is a thriller about international espionage. The irony of what is about to happen does not escape him later when he thinks back to this moment. For now, he is lost in the pages. The words pull him into another world, a world of secrets and danger, a world that seems far removed from the quiet hum of the airplane cabin around him. 2 hours into the flight, Marcus notices something odd. The plane banks sharply to the left. It is not the gentle turn of a course correction. It is abrupt. It is deliberate. He looks up from his book. Other passengers notice too. A woman across the aisle grips her armrest. A man behind him leans forward to look out the window. The flight attendants have stopped their service. They stand near the galley, speaking in low voices. One of them picks up the intercom phone. She listens. Her face changes. Marcus cannot quite read the expression, but it is not reassuring. No announcement comes. The captain does not explain the turn. The seatbelt sign remains off. But something in the air has shifted. Marcus can feel it. He closes his book and presses his face to the window. Below, he sees mountains, rugged terrain, nothing that looks like their planned route. He has flown this path enough times to know they are off course. Significantly off course. Minutes stretch into an uncomfortable silence. Passengers begin to murmur. Questions float through the cabin. Where are we going? Why did we turn? Is everything okay? The flight attendants smile tightly and say, "Everything is fine." But their eyes tell a different story. Marcus watches as one of them disappears into the cockpit. She stays there for several minutes. When she emerges, her smile is even more forced. Marcus pulls out his phone. It is still in airplane mode, but he opens the map application. He had downloaded offline maps before the trip, a habit from years of traveling to places with unreliable internet. He traces their approximate location based on the time elapsed and the direction of the turn. His stomach tightens. If his calculations are correct, they are heading toward a region that commercial airlines avoid. A region that sits at the intersection of 3 countries, each with tense relationships. A region marked on aviation maps with warnings and restrictions. He looks around the cabin. Most passengers seem unaware of the gravity of the situation. Some are sleeping. Others are watching movies on their screens. Children play games on tablets. A baby cries softly a few rows ahead. Life continues in this metal tube suspended 7 miles above the earth. But Marcus cannot shake the growing sense of dread. Another 10 minutes pass. Then the intercom crackles. The captain's voice comes through. It is calm, too calm. He says there has been a minor technical issue. He says they are making a precautionary diversion. He says there is no cause for concern. He does not say where they are diverting to. He does not explain why they are flying over restricted airspace. He does not acknowledge the sharp turn that rattled everyone's nerves. Marcus feels his heart rate increase. A technical issue that requires flying into forbidden territory. It does not add up. He thinks about the geopolitics of the region below. He thinks about the stories he has read. Stories of planes being intercepted. Stories of forced landings. Stories of passengers becoming pawns in larger conflicts. He tells himself he is overreacting. He tells himself that modern aviation is safe, that protocols exist, that international laws protect civilian aircraft, but the reassurances feel hollow. The plane begins to descend, not the gradual descent of a planned approach, but a faster, more urgent descent. The engines change their pitch. The nose dips noticeably. Passengers who are relaxed now sit up straighter. The murmurs grow louder. A flight attendant walks quickly down the aisle, checking the bags are stowed and seats are upright. She does not make eye contact with anyone. She moves with the efficiency of someone following emergency procedures. Marcus looks out the window again. They are lower now. He can see details on the ground, roads, buildings, what looks like a military installation. His blood runs cold. This is not a commercial airport. This is not a diversion to a nearby city. This is something else entirely. He grips his book tightly. The pages crumple under his fingers. The landing gear deploys with a heavy thunk. The flaps extend. The plane slows. Marcus can see a runway ahead. It is shorter than he would expect for a commercial jet of this size. There are no terminal buildings, no gates, just a stretch of concrete surrounded by barren land and what appear to be guard towers. Two military vehicles race alongside the runway as the plane approaches. The wheels touch down hard. Too hard. Passengers gasp. Bags shift in the overhead bins. The brakes engage with a force that pushes everyone forward against their seatbelts. The plane shudders and groans, but it slows. It stops. They are on the ground, but where and why? Through the window, Marcus sees soldiers, not airport personnel, not ground crew. Soldiers in combat uniforms carrying weapons. They surround the plane. Vehicles with mounted guns take up positions around the aircraft. A black SUV pulls up near the front door. Men in dark suits step out. This is not a technical diversion. This is something planned, something deliberate. The captain's voice returns to the intercom. He says they have landed safely. He says they must remain seated. He says officials will be boarding the aircraft. He says everyone must cooperate fully. His voice wavers slightly on that last word. Cooperate. It is not a request. It is a warning. The cabin door opens. Heavy footsteps echo through the plane. Marcus watches as 6 men in military uniforms enter. Behind them, 2 men in civilian clothes carry briefcases. They speak to the flight attendants. One of the uniformed men walks slowly down the aisle. He looks at faces. He checks seat numbers against a paper in his hand. Marcus feels the man's eyes on him. The soldier stops. He points. He says a name. Marcus Chen, that is Marcus. The man gestures for him to stand. Marcus's mind races. Why him? What have they done? What have they accused him of? He has done nothing wrong. He is a software engineer traveling home from a conference. He has no political affiliations, no controversial views, no reason to be singled out. But here he is, standing in the aisle of a hijacked plane, facing armed soldiers in a country he never intended to visit. They take him to the front of the plane. Other passengers stare. Some look frightened. Some look relieved it is not them. Marcus wants to protest. He wants to demand explanations. But the weapons and the grim faces around him silence any objections. They escort him off the plane. The heat hits him immediately. Dry, oppressive. He is somewhere far from his planned destination. Inside a small building near the runway, they sit him in a metal chair. A man in a suit enters. He introduces himself as an intelligence officer. He does not give a name. He says Marcus's presence on that flight was flagged. He says certain communications Marcus made raised concerns. He pulls out printed emails, messages Marcus sent weeks ago to colleagues, technical discussions about encryption software, work projects. Nothing sinister, nothing illegal. But in this room, under these circumstances, they twist the words. They find meanings that were never there. Marcus tries to explain. He tells them he is just an engineer, that the emails are about work, that there is no hidden agenda. But the officer is not interested in explanations. He is interested in confirmation. He asks leading questions. He pressures. He implies that cooperation will go easier if Marcus simply admits to what they already know. But Marcus has nothing to admit. There is nothing to confess. He is innocent of whatever they are imagining. Hours pass. The interrogation continues. They ask about people Marcus has never heard of, organizations he has no connection to. They show him photos of strangers and ask him to identify them. He cannot, because he does not know them. This only seems to frustrate his interrogators more. They accuse him of lying, of protecting others, of being part of something bigger. The accusations are absurd, but they are also terrifying, because Marcus realizes that the truth does not matter here. Perception matters, suspicion matters, and he has been labeled suspicious. Back on the plane, the other passengers wait. Hours stretch into an agonizing limbo. Children become restless. Supplies of food and water run low. The soldiers outside do not allow anyone to leave. The captain tries to negotiate. He contacts the airline. He contacts his embassy. But bureaucracy moves slowly, especially when geopolitics are involved, especially when a plane has entered restricted airspace and landed at a military installation. Marcus sits in the interrogation room. He thinks about his family. His wife does not know where he is. His flight tracking app would show the plane off course. She would be worried, terrified, imagining the worst. He has no way to contact her. They have taken his phone, his belongings, his dignity. He is alone in a foreign place with no rights and no protections. The officer leaves the room. Marcus is left with 2 guards. They do not speak. They just watch. He wonders what will happen next. Will they charge him with something fabricated? Will they use him as leverage in some political game? Will he disappear into the machinery of a system that operates outside international law? The questions spiral. The fear grows. He forces himself to breathe, to think clearly, to remember that people know he was on that flight, that his disappearance would not go unnoticed, that someone will fight for him. But in this moment, those reassurances feel distant and fragile. After what feels like an eternity, The door opens again. A different man enters. Older, more measured. He sits across from Marcus. He does not pull out files or photos. He simply looks at Marcus for a long moment. Then he speaks. He says there has been a misunderstanding, that the initial intelligence was flawed, that Marcus is free to return to the plane. Just like that. No apology. No explanation of what the misunderstanding was. No acknowledgement of the trauma inflicted. Just a dismissal. Marcus wants to rage. He wants to demand accountability, but he also wants to leave. He wants to get back on that plane and get as far away from this place as possible. So he stands. He follows the guards back across the tarmac. The sun is setting now. The sky is painted in shades of orange and red. It would be beautiful if the circumstances were different, but all Marcus feels is exhaustion and relief. He boards the plane. Passengers look at him with a mixture of curiosity and sympathy. He makes his way back to his seat. His book is still there, open to the page where he left it. Hours ago, a lifetime ago. He closes it. He cannot imagine reading now. A flight attendant approaches. She asks quietly if he is okay. He nods. He is not okay, but he is here. He is alive. That will have to be enough for now. The engines start. The plane taxis. They are cleared for takeoff. As they lift into the air, Marcus looks down at the military base shrinking below. He thinks about the randomness of it all. How an algorithm flagged his emails. How a bureaucratic process turned him into a suspect. How easily freedom can be stripped away. How invisible lines on maps can trap you. How being in the wrong place at the wrong time can upend your entire reality. The flight continues. They are rerouted. The journey takes hours longer than planned, but eventually they land in New York. Marcus clears customs. He walks through the terminal in a daze. His wife is waiting. She runs to him. She holds him tight. She cries. He does not have words yet to explain what happened. How do you describe being powerless? How do you convey the terror of being accused of crimes you did not commit? How do you explain that the world is not as safe or as just as we want to believe? In the days that follow, Marcus learns more. He learns that the plane's navigation system had been hacked remotely, that they were forced off course deliberately, that he was not the only target. 3 other passengers were also detained. The incident becomes an international controversy. Governments issue statements. Airlines review security protocols. But for Marcus, these are just words. The experience has changed him. He looks at flights differently now, at borders, at the systems we trust to keep us safe. He realizes how fragile it all is, how quickly the ordinary can become extraordinary, how a simple flight home can become a nightmare. Months later, Marcus receives a formal letter. It is from a human rights organization. They are documenting cases like his. Cases where technology and politics intersect to create zones where rights disappear. They want his story. They want to use it to push for reforms, to demand accountability, to shine light on the shadowy practices that turned his flight into a prison. Marcus agrees, because if his story can help prevent this from happening to someone else, then perhaps the trauma was not entirely meaningless. He thinks often about that moment when the plane turned, that instant when everything changed. He thinks about the other passengers who just wanted to get home, about the crew who were powerless to protect them, about the systems that failed at every level, and he thinks about the book he was reading, The thriller about espionage and danger. It seemed so distant then, so fictional. But he learned that day that the line between fiction and reality is thinner than we imagine. That any of us can become characters in stories we never wanted to be part of. That reading about danger is very different from living it. Marcus still flies. He has to for work, but now he sits with his phone tracking the flight path. He watches for deviations. He listens to every announcement with heightened attention. The ease and trust he once had are gone, replaced by vigilance, by awareness, by the knowledge that invisible forces can reach into our lives at any moment, can redirect our paths, can turn a journey into a trial. And there is very little we can do to stop it when it happens. So, if you like this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this.